Jerry Price. I am somebody because you came on Unstuck, brother. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, Tim, thank you. And I think I'm somebody because you invited me here. It's my pleasure to occupy this space and time with you today.
Yeah, man, it really is a blessing. And folks, I don't know if you're listening today, in your career, you meet people. If you're out trying to do something, you're going to bump into all kinds of humans. And then there's just some people, the connection is different. And I think Jerry and my relationship represents that kind of connection. We met when he was doing community work in Benton Harbor, and I was coming there to do some assisting of building some leadership development there. And it's like I met my brother who I had known my whole life for the first time. And
Absolutely.
since that day, we have supported each other. And I have watched this man grow his capacity and his influence to helping people in so many communities. And as you will see, we're going to unpack his life and his story. And when I say it's a pleasure to have him here, by the time we get off, you will understand why. Jerry, let's start from the beginning, my good brother. You started and grew up like all of us in some neighborhood. And
Yes.
what you learned growing up there has something to do with what and how you do what you do today. Make the connection for me. Where did you grow up and how did that impact what you're doing right now?
Wow, that's a great question, Tim. First, thank you for allowing me this space and place to just have a conversation, right? And I
Yeah,
think
man.
that is what's needed when we talk about how do we get through day to day. It's really the conversations that really help us navigate anything that's in front of us, whether it's a celebration or a challenge, right? It
Amen.
all starts with holding meaningful conversations with meaningful people. And,
That's right.
for me, I've had many conversations throughout my life, and my life started in my neighborhood of Benton Harbor, Michigan, right? You
Shout
alluded
out
to
to
it
the harbor.
earlier. The harbor, man, it
Yeah,
is
shout out.
it is everything that has made me who I am and everything that drives me to become who I want to be. Right. So, born and raised in Benton Harbor in the 1970s. So, I am a 70s and 80s baby. Right. Very industrial town, but also very beautiful. The landscapes on the coast of Lake Michigan. And, you
That's right.
grow up in this area where you're steps away from the lake, but you're also steps away from the hood, right? And how do you marry those two things together? So Benton Harbor was a place that really helped develop me. It helped me dream, but then it
Mm,
also prepared me for times when my dream wasn't going the way I wanted it to go, right? So it
that's
gave you
powerful.
this yeah, it gave you this toughness, right? It gave you this toughness that no matter what, you could survive. If you from Benton Harbor, you could do anything you want to do. When I
I
grew up,
love
it
that.
was a city of 15,000 people, right? But out of those 15,000 people, we produced NBA All-Stars, right? We produced NBA All-Stars. We produced Ghostbusters, right?
That's
Ernie
right.
Hudson, the award-winning
That's right.
actor from Benton Harbor. We produced comedians, Sinbad from Benton
That's
Harbor.
true.
When you talk about the harbor, it truly is a different world, right? So
That's right.
Benton Harbor raised me and taught me everything I know, but I also say there are two other hometowns that raised me. And
Okay.
those two other hometowns is the hometown of my father is one, born in 1944 in a small country town in Jackson, Mississippi called Holly Bluff, Mississippi, right?
Wow.
So all of his learnings and growing up as a black man in the 40s of Mississippi, that's my hometown learnings too, because he passed that on to me. And then my other hometown is my mom's hometown, born in 1956 in a small Florida town called Monticello, Florida, right? Small, grew up on a road called Turkey Scratch Road. It's still a dirt road to this day, right? So I
Turkey
always say,
scratch.
Turkey Scratch Road, right? So when we talk about hometowns, I think it's always important for us to acknowledge where we grew up, but also acknowledge who grew us up, right?
Yeah,
And
man.
that's a big one. And my parents were a big part of that. So, and part of them is their hometowns, right? So, those are the three cities that I always say raised me, man, and really helped me understand who I needed to be as a person.
Man, I tell you that the fancy word is juxtaposition
Yes.
of uh, of poverty and wealth divided by a bridge.
Divided by bridge.
It's just it's a and that the growing up there with both realities
Mhm.
gave you a depth, right? And I think this is why
Absolutely.
people's stories matter, man,
Yes.
because you can't articulate that in a resume. But it's critically important to your ability to reach across a room, to work with other interests than what you know, to stretch beyond what you can imagine, and to be tough enough to be resilient when it's all tore down. And when
True.
things are hard and when it doesn't just come your way, man. And I think in organizations, this is a lesson from your life that if you unpack people's stories, what you're going to find is more value than what you can read or what shows up in any report. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's just there's nothing more powerful than those lessons that you learn that are in you. My former pastor said, if it's in the root, it's in the fruit.
There it is. There it is,
Right?
right? And I
Yeah.
love that, we talk about, right, that difference and the difference of growing up in Benton Harbor where, you had to have the thick skin. You had to be tough. You had to make sure that you handled your business. You had to know who surrounded you, right? So you could be in that safe place, right? So that,
Yeah.
right? Growing up and then crossing the bridge and dealing with a whole different lived experience, right? I think it gives you this flexibility to uniquely understand both worlds, navigate both worlds, but be your best self in both of them, right? Your
Till you show up.
authenticity
That's
shows
right.
up in both of them. Right?
That's
Because you're
right.
comfortable in both of those spaces and you know how to navigate those spaces. Because if you learn the game in your hood, the game in every other hood is the same. So once you learn that, now you bring those things together to really launch yourself and launch the ideas and help launch others to make sure that they can navigate those spaces the same way that you can. And that's all coming from Benton Harbor, Michigan, man. That's that's
Yeah,
that's
man.
that's my Mayberry. That's my
And
Mayberry.
unfortunately, man, those artificial barriers between people, like bridges and railroad tracks and all these other places and communities, y- man, we're missing out on a lot of depth.
Yes.
We're missing out on a lot of perspective. And you can see it playing itself out, in the world around us. And so I think that's important, man. And I appreciate you sharing not just where you came from, because you could have come on here and just talked about all the history, but what you talked about was what it gave you in return,
Mm,
right? And
absolutely.
that, man, that's a beautiful story to apply to life for people and to even to HR strategies, to be honest with you.
It absolutely is, right? It absolutely our lived experiences are our blueprint. Right? And the blueprint is written to help you navigate. So I
Yeah,
always tell people, look at the blueprints of your life, right? What
yes.
helped grow you? How did it map you out? And apply those blueprints wherever you go, whether that's from the neighborhood to the boardroom, from the classroom to the professional setting, you have the blueprint to succeed. So, how do you transfer it from place to place? Because it's all
Mm,
authentically you. It's authentically you.
yeah. And my gosh, aren't we hungry for authentic?
Yes.
Aren't we hungry for something real? Uh, before we go off into that, because we could spend 3 hours right there.
We
I
could.
saw you
We
getting ready
could.
to take that turn. I said, hold up, I'm a crossing guard. I had to wait up. Uh, so your resume rolls deep. You've worked and led, and don't even get me started with how many boards you've sat on in your lifetime. This brother is the board band director in terms of number of boards he's sat on. And if you want to really know his resume, I'm joking with Jerry, but his life has been a serious representation of service. And I'd encourage you right now, while you're listening, open the LinkedIn app and search him right now. Find Jerry Price, see what he's up to, connect with the brother, and you can look at his history and see he has given his life to service. Uh, and there was a reason you did, Jerry. Why in the world did you not only give in community, but volunteer in community so much? Why were you so bent on being involved in your community? What was that about?
Wow, man, that is a long but short story, right? It is going back to my parents taught us at an early age to serve, right?
Mm,
And
yeah,
sometimes that's difficult for people to understand. When you talk about my father, a black man raised in the 1940s of Mississippi, and seeing the injustice and the cruelness that this world, can put upon a black man in the 40s in Mississippi. My
oh
mom
yes,
growing up in the deep south of Florida in the 40s, right? And for them to come out of not only that era, but those places with this sense of community, this sense of family, this sense of give back. Civil rights was just not a movement, it was a way of life, right? It was
yeah.
more than a march, it was a mantra, it was a motivation. So my parents taught all of us, you give back. Even if you don't have it to give, you give because it's your responsibility to make the world a better place. All right.
Mm,
So that's been imparted on me since the day I had a rattle and a pacifier in my mouth. It was about giving back. So to me, it's always been a no brainer. Right. It's
before you
always
knew your
been
name, you knew that.
before I knew my name. I used to give away things as a little kid because it was so deeply embedded in me and in how my family was raised. Right. So I think it's part of who we need to be, right? At every stage in our life, the most pressing question we should all ask ourselves and then answer is, how can I give? Right? In whatever large or small way that is, that's the question we should ask ourselves every single day. How can I give? And I chose to always give back to the community, always give back to the place that supported me, that raised me, and that kept me in line when I wanted to get out of line. Right. So that is the nucleus of how I was built, how I was designed. And I don't think, Tim, that will ever change. That will never
No, I
change.
ain't seen you slow down. I ain't seen you slow down in a lot of years. Uh, Speaking of community and building it, who you went from Benton Harbor, Michigan, serving on very small nonprofit organization boards, doing real community, door to door, late night meetings, early night celebrations, all kinds of stuff going on, to morphing your career, always helping people. And now you work for the largest healthcare system in the region. When you think about all of those steps of growth in your career, what are some of the biggest lessons that you've taken away? Like, what have you learned about growing as a
Wow.
leader across different environments? Like, what's the wisdom you're taking with you from all?
Wow, such a powerful question, right? And so many answers to that as well. And for me, it's truly been about how do you use where you are to be the best version of who you are, right? I've never looked ahead to the next role. I've always focused on where am I needed right now? And if this is where I'm needed, I'm going to do the best of my ability in that place, in that space, and in that moment with the gifts that were given to me, that were embedded in me. And your gifts will always make place for you, right? So
That's true.
part of my leadership has always been about learning and growing and having the conversation with people and never being afraid to ask the question so I could learn more, right? It's all about, and I was speaking with some folks today, and we talked about the secret of leadership is not keeping the secret recipe to yourself. It's about sharing it with others, right?
That's right.
Because everything we do has a recipe to it. And I've been lucky enough to have people within my life like you, right? Like coaches, like my mom, my dad, my uncles, my aunts, right? And other community mothers and community fathers that shared their recipe with me. So for me,
That's
it's
right.
been a growth period of understanding what your gifts are, growing those gifts, and using those gifts in a very authentic way, right? Because when you authentically care about people, when you authentically invest in people, when you authentically listen to understand and then react to that, you are setting yourself up for the unexpected success that you never knew was coming,
Of
right?
course.
And
Yes.
I've been lucky enough, and I call it luck on purpose, right? Because although we prepare ourselves, others have to open doors for us, right? So I've been lucky enough and blessed enough to have people that believed in me, right? And had people that believed in me enough that they would open the next door for me. And not just open the door, help me walk through it and coach me on what was on the other side of that door. See, and that's something we don't talk a lot about is that people say, I just need an open door. Yeah, the door opening is only the first step of success. Now you got to have
What
people
happens
that
if you get it?
what happens when you go on the other side of that door? Are you prepared when that door closes and you're in that room? How do you handle that room? And I've had so many great people that not only opened the door, but taught me how to handle the room, how to sit
That's
at the
right.
table, how to understand the table. And then once you understand the seat at the table, right? We digest the things that's brought to us at the table. So once I got through the door, once I had the seat at the table, my curiosity said, I want to know what they're cooking in the kitchen, right? Because we digest the things that come to the table. So it's really about not only getting through the door, not only sitting at the table, but then how do you create the menu that the table is digesting, right? So it's
And there's
all
the
of these
key, right?
things. Yep.
And let's just fast forward, man, because that creating something at the table that has value to what people eat at the table.
Yes.
I think that's what happened to DEI.
Yeah.
We were bringing in pre-cooked meals, and
Mhm.
people, not we, but people weren't listening, and we had a way of doing it, and we didn't adjust,
Yep.
and sometimes it. I always say I'm not married to an industry. I'm married to an impact.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so how we get to that impact must always change,
Absolutely. And that
right? And I
you
think
know
Go ahead, because you've experienced that. You've experienced
Mhm.
that shift of conversation, and it's not that it's not important, because differences are important. You just talked about some really important values that you bring to the table that if you didn't grow up in that different environment, you would not bring and would not have brought so much value to the organization. So that part of it's important. It's how you deliver something really does matter.
Absolutely, it does, right? And that's the important point that we talk about a lot too, right? Is everybody doesn't digest things the same way, right? And I think
Correct.
for so long we got caught in the cookie cutter. I check the box, right? Everybody's getting the same thing. We're following the same strategy. We're checking the same boxes, and we're sitting back and saying, "Hey, we're on cruise control." But cruise control only gets you so far. Sometimes you got to take that off to navigate where you're going. Or if there is construction on that highway, I got to take a different route. And for me, I always tell people, I am not here for your professional growth. I'm here for your personal change, right? Because when you are dealing on the personal level and you make a change personally, I never have to worry about you making a change professionally because your personal spirit travels with you everywhere, right? If
Well,
I
yeah,
embed
you've
this
got
in you as
alignment.
the person, yes, it's going everywhere. It's going into your relationships, it's going into your workplace, it's going into your social hours, right? So for me, belonging and inclusion and DEI has always been about how do I listen to where you are and bring you, right, a level of understanding that's based on your lived experience and the ingredients of every other person's lived experience in a way that you can digest it, in a way that it embeds in you personally, right? So it's not pulling the same thing off the shelf and giving it to every single person the same way. It's about understanding your experience, who you are, why you think the way you think, why you have those habits, why you have these ideas. And then let's blend those together to find a way that helps you be even more effective at what you want to do or who you want to be. So
And the
that
more
has always
taboo
been
the
the key.
topic, the more
What was that?
taboo the topic,
Yeah.
the
Well,
harder it's to pull off, the more
yeah,
necessary that work is.
exactly. Exactly. Right. And we're living in a time where sometimes the chaos is the challenge, but
So
in
much noise.
every moment of chaos, there's that moment of calm. So we have to find the calm in the chaos to move past the challenges that are presented to us today. And being calm doesn't mean your wheels aren't spinning. Being calm simply means you understand that in order for you to have impact, that I have to be intentional and focused about where I put my energy. So I
I
tell
got to
people,
manage mine.
I got to manage my energy. I got to manage mine. And that's what helps us get through the challenges each day.
So let's talk to young professionals, people who want to have their careers and their talents to grow and sprout in ways like yours, like where everywhere my talent goes, I can have a positive impact. Give me one word of advice for young Jerry Price. Like what did the young Jerry, what would you tell him now about how to have that trajectory of choices in your career?
Wow. One piece of advice that I think not only started me, but continues to humble me is every single person has a story. Don't be afraid to ask about their story and never be afraid to share yours because it's
Mm.
in those stories that we not only find our commonness, but we find our friendships.
And
And when we
opportunities, man.
and those opportunities, right? Because relationship leads to opportunity, right? So the young, I would tell the young me, right? Never be afraid to build a relationship with every single person you encounter, whether they're the same as you or totally different from you, because there is space and place to find those commonalities. And when you find those, you find opportunities. When we find common space, opportunity is always next to it. There's a
Yeah,
proximity to it, right? So
that's
that
right.
would be the advice. Find a relationship in every stranger. And that's where your next opportunity is coming from.
And I tell you, man, that's hard to do in a culture where our head is down all the time in our screens, even when we're out and about. And I think those people who still know how to say hi are going to end up with the opportunities. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? At the end of
Yeah.
the day, it's very, very true. Now, speaking of building community and fun, saying hi, bringing people together, reaching across, y'all ain't going to believe this, but this dude has his own jazz festival on Lake Michigan
Yes.
in the summertime. Now he ain't just he's not just a leader in the people business. This dude on the side runs a whole festival. Jerry, tell the people about what's happening this summer in the harbor and St. Joe.
Oh man, yeah, in those rare moments when I have downtime, right? So
This is
me
what
and a
I'm telling
business
y'all. This is
partner,
crazy.
me and a business partner about 5 years ago, all right, we started Lake Breeze at Sunset. And it's a jazz festival that's held every summer on the shores of Lake Michigan on Silver Beach. And let me tell you, I've been a music lover my whole life. My dad was a country music fan. So I grew up on George Jones, Alabama, Charlie Pride, Hee Haw, watching Hee Haw
All of it.
religiously every Sunday, right? So had that side. Mom, Motown. Marvin Gaye, right? Temptation. So had the best of both worlds. So I grew up as a music lover of all genres of music. And this goes back to investing in community and never finding a stranger. So although I can't play an instrument, I can't sing a note. I love music. And me and my business partner said, you know, we didn't want to always have to leave our community to have world-class music. So sometimes you got to create the movement that you want, right? It's not up to others. You have to create the dream and the vision that you want, right? So we created our own jazz fest because we're both jazz lovers as well. And we didn't always want to have to travel. So we were like, hey, let's just create our own jazz fest and let's start it. And it has been this amazing experience of this diverse collective of people from Benton Harbor to St. Joe to St. Louis to Detroit to Kalamazoo to Battle Creek to Grand Rapids. We have people coming in from Alaska and Florida, right? All these different lived experiences coming together for a common bond. And I can't tell you, Tim, we hear stories to this day of people who met at our Jazz Fest and now they are connected and would have never met each other if not for sitting on the shores of Lake Michigan at sunset, listening to beautiful music, and they happened to sit next to each other and started a conversation, which created a friendship, which created an opportunity to have someone new in your life. That's the power of what can happen when you stop thinking about it and start doing something about it.
Do it to it.
Right.
That's right.
So that's what we do. So Lake Breeze at sunset every summer on the shores of Lake Michigan at Silver Beach.
And what month does it usually fall in?
That is in July. It's typically the second weekend of July. If you want more information, folks can go to lakebreezeatsunset.com and we should be releasing more information about this year soon. So again, it's all about creating community. All right. No matter how you do it, through conversation or through music, it's about creating community and it's about serving the community and giving things back. So that will never end. So we're really looking forward to another great year this year.
I'm excited for it. Last year I was sick as a dog. I had to text Jerry.
Yeah.
I said, "Man, I can't come. I can't." But this year, we're going to pray in advance. Y'all reach out your hands for me and pray that I'm going to be able to make the festival this summer.
Love
I
it.
got to,
Love
I
it.
got to go fellowship. Uh, Folks, in the description, in the podcast, wherever you're picking up this episode, you'll see information about Jerry, and we'll make sure that the links are there for you so that you can, if you want to attend the festival or learn more about some of the other things he's got going, we'll make sure it's there for you in the description. Now, Jerry, before we get out of here, I do want to talk to you about something we have and love in common, which is coaching.
Yes.
One of the things I enjoy most in my business is the ability to coach. And I have been being coached for 12 years by an executive coach. So I'm a coach who gets coached, and I know that you love it too, and you're
Yes.
picking up steam. So tell me more about why is coaching a part of what you want to do? And then what do you want to accomplish? What do you hope to do with that gift?
Coaching has been part of my life from the very beginning. We're all coached by our parents first, right? Or
That's right.
those loved ones or people around us that's raising us. Those are all of our first coaches. Then I played sports, right? So I always had those secondary coaches in my life. And my coaches throughout my life have taught me lessons based on their lived experience and have also helped me figure out the pieces of who I am. I had all the puzzle pieces there, but sometimes we need a little help, right? Just fitting them all together to make the picture of who
Yep.
we want to be, right? So I've always had this affinity for coaches, right? So as I've grown in my career, and again, it goes back to that give back part. I said, how can I give back? How can I help not only young professionals, but young entrepreneurs, businesses, business executives that may have all the pieces there, but just need a little help figuring out how those pieces best fit together. So coaching for me is a very personal experience. It's about how do we take all of our gifts and unwrap them, all right, and put them in position to make our lives better, and not only make our lives better, impact the circle around us. All right. So
Around
I've
them. Yep.
so I've really been engaged in coaching for the last two years and really helping small nonprofits and executive leaders, right, become even more effective in leadership, become even more effective as a person, and really understand not only their gifts, but how those gifts fit into the structure of their life and how those gifts can help others grow their potential as well. So coaching has really been
Yeah.
this personal experience for me. Leaders are coached, and we all need coaches and leaders in our lives. So I think they go hand in hand. So for me, it's about how do I continue to give back to this world? How do I continue to help others develop so they can do the same thing? I always say, and I heard this a long time ago, and it's been one of my favorite things to say. Sometimes we plant the seed for trees and fruit that we may never taste, but
That's
we
right.
are preparing that fruit for others, right?
That's
So
correct.
how can I help plant seeds so that trees grow and can bear either shade or fruit to help sustain others? So coaching is this wonderful way of doing it, and I love it, and I'm going to continue to do it until the last breath in this little old body of mine of how can I help build people? And that's the key. How can we help build people to be who they want to be and who they need to be?
It's a joy like no other, man. I think you're
It
right.
is.
It's some of the most enjoyable work I get to do is watching people change in front of you.
Yes.
Helping them to call the kind of time out you need to call for self-reflection, to
Yes.
really unpack what's going on, not just what happened, but what's actually going on. And then as people skill up and tool up, and to watch them handle these situations as they get harder, but it seems easier for them. That, I mean,
Yes.
man, there's just no greater joy for a coach who wants
Oh,
to see the people they get to work with win in life. And
yes.
it's not about, for some, it's about how much money you make, but that just seems like it's such a small part of it in coaching. People really just want to become more and better. And
And this
that's a, it's a joy, man. I love it. I love coaching.
I love it, Tim, and I think you hit on something, right? It's everybody wants to hit the home run in life, right? Everybody wants to hit that home run, no matter what your home run is. Everybody wants to hit the home run, and I was sharing this with a small business just last week, right? We all want to hit the home run, but sometimes every day is about hitting the single. Today I got three
Yeah.
singles. Tomorrow I got two doubles. Right? I just got a a double play. I just struck something out, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not about hitting the home run every single game to win the game, but if you have enough singles, you have enough doubles, you have enough triples, you get enough strikeouts, guess what? That's your home run because you've won the game on those things,
Yeah.
right? So
You
it's
added it
about
up.
adding up the gifts in your life to hit the home run every single time you engage with people. So
Well, and
that's the
it's
beauty.
also the resilience to go 0 for 3
Yes.
and get up tomorrow and swing again.
And swing again.
And that's the other part, man, because those 0 and 3 days can stack up on you,
Yep.
and you got to keep coming. You
You
just
got to
got,
keep
and
coming.
that you have to practice that because the emotions that come with, when you can't see them singles, when it
Exactly.
doesn't feel like it.
You got
That's
to
it. I
keep
mean,
swinging.
we could talk about coaching all day. My point is, you're doing it now and doing more of it in the future, and I think it's just imperative, and it's a skill set. If you really want to support the middle wall of management in your organization, coaching is the way
It
because
truly
they
is.
need somewhere that they can deal with what it's like to have to lead 360 degrees around you.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times promoted before you were prepared.
Before you were
And in
prepared.
your case, nonprofit leaders really don't have support in so many cases.
Hmm.
They came to the work from their heart, not from leadership school.
From leadership school, right?
And
So
now,
having that
because your
support.
heart has created something so beautiful to serve, people need support. I think it's genius to apply that support because coaching is a way to help people in a real way.
Oh, it absolutely is. And it gives people the comfort in knowing you don't have to have the answers every single time. You just have to have the curiosity to continue to find them, right? And that's
Yeah,
the
right.
key. We don't always have the answers, but we're courageous and curious enough to continue swinging to find them. And that's what coaching helps you do. It helps you continue that courage and curiosity to continue swinging.
Yeah, man. Last question.
Yes, sir.
What are you most excited about in the year to come? Like when you think about what's coming in your life and what you see about the difference you're going to make, what excites you today about what's ahead?
I'm excited about the momentum that we're building, right? I'm excited that we have this unique opportunity for change.
Mm,
Although
me too.
some things in some people's lives may feel so chaotic, the world may seem so chaotic. But in my mind, what I'm excited about is out of this chaos, we can change. Out of this chaos, we can create moments of compassion. And I'm seeing those moments of compassion and curiosity more and more every single day. People are innovating, people are creating, people are taking chances that they didn't take before because they're saying, I can do this, right?
That's right.
I can do this. So for me, I am so excited about the change that's going to occur this year in how we engage community. how we engage individuals within the workplace, how we engage changing systems and structures to ensure equity, to ensure that every single voice is being heard. All right. So I'm excited about going from one stage to a new platform to help
Mm,
others' voices become even more elevated. So that's the piece that I'm excited for. It's continuing to happen. And the greatest thing it is for me is to see someone who felt like they didn't have a voice reach the point where they are singing the loudest song in the room. So for me, that's what I'm excited about is having communities who felt like they didn't have a voice singing the loudest in every single space that they're in.
yeah,
And that is amazing to me. And I see it happening every single day.
yeah, man. And that's a song. That's what the dramatic said. That's my favorite song. And it goes on and on and on.
On and on.
That's my favorite song. Jerry Price, you are one of my favorite human beings. And I'm grateful for you, man. I'm grateful for the work you do in community and the work you're doing right now in healthcare, making a difference, the work you do outside of healthcare, and the way you build community, man. You are using your gifts, and we need you to keep moving and keep going. Anything we can do to help you amplify it, we want to do that. Jerry, thanks for coming aboard, man. Good to see you.
Tim, thank you for having me. And as always, it's a pleasure to spend time in space with you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. And folks, you can get more episodes at translatorcg.com, translatorcg.com. This episode is available to you on YouTube, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Please check it out and come back soon.